Here's Dean here, joined by Will, Chief Justice. Y'all know him from a variety of things, most notably, the Prop Shop, popping up on all sorts of videos on the RG social stuff. We're here for the next 2 hours plus, talking some NBA, DFS, nice size slate. Every slate has been nice sized this week. I love this week. It's like 6, 7, or 8 basically every single day. That's the same deal with Thursday and Friday. It's been a fun week as far as basketball and the association. It's myself and Will. It's a weird slate tonight. Will, last night, of course, if you played last night, just a plethora of value everywhere. Not necessarily the case tonight, especially on FanDuel. If you guys are playing on FanDuel, FanDuel's really, really tough as far as making some builds over there. DK, a little bit looser these days as far as making yourself some lineups. OKC is the big one we'll be talking about. How much Thunder is too much Thunder? Is that really even good chalk? We'll have that conversation. They're essentially priced to, they're positioned to get mollywopped, if you will, by the newly formed Phoenix Suns, back half of back-to-back, and they're resting, 2 of their best players. Will, your thoughts on the entire slate? Of course, we're going to go game by game in a second. Do want to say hello to chat? Kindly hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications, do all the things, hit all the buttons. What's up, Will? How are things in your world?
To the millions and millions of the Rocks fans. Thank you all for joining us. Dean, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, but
I don't care how you're doing.
Oh, gee, I stepped right in that one.
Listen, we were talking some old school WWF, taking it way back. So glad to be on. And this is going to be an interesting slate. And I'm ready to get rolling here, man. I guess I'm somewhat of an 90s wrestling enthusiast. And I think we're all in our age range. Like, that was kind of the highlight of wrestling, if you will. I think Stone Cold, The Rock, Kane, Undertaker, and there's still some guys that's going right now. Like, there's just so many wrestlers that came through during that time. And then even leading up to that time, Ultimate Warrior, Sid Vicious, Hulk Hogan, those guys that kind of paved the way. But, man, I mean, that was a great time because I felt like there was a good mix of old wrestlers and new wrestlers. You had 2 big chains going, WCW and WWF. So you had NWO happening at that time. Booker T was around at that time, still wrestling strong. Sting was still going strong at that time. Let's see. Well,
I am contractually obligated to mention Chris Jericho as I am on his podcast 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah. Chris Jericho was there. Man, it was just so good, Dean. And I feel like the wrestlers, and I think the wrestlers of today are okay, but the stage presence, Dean, I mean, the stories, the back and forth banter, it was incredible. Mr. Sacco, that was from Don't Tell Me. Oh my gosh. Oh, don't tell me. Please don't tell me. Mr. Sacco.
I believe I know the answer.
I know the answer too. Missing Tooth. The
guy's written like 5 bestsellers.
Are you gonna have a nice day?
No, I know who it is. It's not. Oh, just tell me who it is. The name's not coming to me.
Mankind, Mick Foley.
Mankind, of course. I knew it just wasn't hitting me at the top. Mick Foley, obviously, yes. I do know we have a show. Thank you guys for going down. Brutus the Beef King, yes. Thank you guys for going down memory lane with us very quickly as we have a 7-game slate to break down. Dean, I'm going to turn this thing back over to you and let you get us on the rails here because clearly we have hopped off.
It's just so weird that a guy like I mean I didn't realize as a kid how silly it was, but like this guy, he's a barber. He cuts hair professionally, but on the side he also wrestles. Like it just and like there was a guy who was like a dumpster man, like a garbage man who also did. Everybody had to have like a side gig in wrestling back in the day. I'm sure there's more I can't think of, but everybody just sort of had their.
Well, it's kind of like all the XFL players today. Like they go to work and then they go play football.
It was originally Isaac Yankum, DDS. He was a dentist.
Yeah, it's like you're a dentist, but on the side. I don't know which is on the side, but one of you doing the side.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't being a dentist pay well enough? And theoretically, you'd want these guys in wrestling to get paid. I know a lot of them don't, but they shouldn't tell you.
Yeah,
it's a weird implication. What skill sets do you have from dentistry to apply to wrestling? I don't know, but I guess
it didn't last. The big boss man. He was the corrections officer down in Corn County.
Yes, the big Georgia. Boss man. Come on.
Like, why can't he just be a cop? And that's he has to wrestle.
Well,
that's not cool. The big boss man's better.
And then Nails came, one of his old inmates. I mean, you can't write that. That's just real life.
Yes. George the Animal Steel, I remember him. He was I think he was like a college professor. They're mentioning him in chat.
Incredible.
He was supposedly a really, really smart dude. He had a green tongue, and he liked Elizabeth, Macho Man Randy Savage's. Now we're just showing our ages, I suppose, at this point. We do have a 7-game and a DFS.
This is good stuff.
What tipped it off, by the way, is that I saw a tweet. Apparently, there is a rumor that WWE is in talks to become regulated for sports betting, according to CNBC, which is just
Oh no.
I mean, but one of my favorite things on Twitter is like people complaining because somebody gets hurt and they bet the under, they want the thing voided. But like, imagine the complaints you're gonna get. Like, my dude was just hitting the back of my head with a chair and the ref wasn't looking. This is BS, man. Give me my refund. My guy, that wasn't legal. That wasn't legit. But I just can't.
Listen, Stroh's fan 955 gets the quote of the day. I love this. He says, "This show is not off the rails because it hasn't been on the rails yet." This is incredible. Best quote of the day by far. Love it, my guy. Love it. Or my gal.
So, Gene, you'll like that. Back when The Undertaker lost his first WrestleMania match, a man lost $35,000 betting on The Undertaker that day.
I know he lost to Brock Lesnar. I didn't know somebody bet $35K. Well, what were the odds? Was it? I guess I'm assuming he was a big favorite. He was like 18-0 or 19-0.
Yeah, The Undertaker was a huge favorite, so it would have been like he would have only got like a $2,000 or $3,000 return probably. I don't remember the exact odds, but instead he lost $35,000.
Obviously,
no.
Yeah, it's like betting on the Globetrotters, Undertaker at the WrestleMania. But like every once in a while, I suppose, have the Globetrotters ever lost to the Washington? What are they called? What's the team that plays the Globetrotters every single game? Don't remember.
The Washington Generals.
The Generals. There you go. I couldn't get there for some reason, but I needed a little bit more time from the people, I suppose. Hey, Will, OKC back half of back-to-back. SGA not playing on back half of back-to-back. Of course, they're positioned to lose, but they're also super cheap.
Can we just stop playing Josh Giddey?
Stop playing him?
Yeah. Can he just start sitting out some games? This is personal for me, by the way. I need Josh Giddey to just stop playing basketball.
What's your vendetta with Josh Giddey?
Because he's destroyed my back half season-long props. Because all of a sudden, SGA's been sitting. SGA comes back, and Josh Giddey's now the all-star player. My good friend Sir Jimmer in the prop shop knows what I'm talking about. We are rooting for Josh Giddey to not play 15 games or less on the back half of this season. Like, just go sit in a corner, man. Like, have the flu for 2 weeks. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. Just stop playing basketball. Jeez. Just so you guys know, we took Josh Giddey under a triple-double for the back half of the season just because, OKC wasn't planning on winning many games. And now suddenly Josh Giddey's like 30, 10, and 10 every night. It's so stupid.
Bet that. You can bet the back half of the season total number of triple-doubles. That's a thing you can bet.
No, it's not a bet, Dean. It's not. We took the under on a season projection. Okay, so it's not a bet. It's an entry.
An entry, correct.
It's an entry, and we took the under on a season long projection for about 23 to 25 games.
I'm running some optimals here, Will. We just got a refresh as far as our lineup HQ, as far as our projections here. Man, I'm adding some juice to it. I'm adding some variance to it. I'm capping some players like no more than like 75, 80%. The number one player that I'm getting in DraftKings lineups, tell me when you feel comfortable about these names. The number one player I'm getting is Aaron Wiggins. I assume that's because we're projecting him to start. We're not certain he will, but we'll see. Number 2 is Isaiah Joe at 43%. Number 3, Christian Wood. Tell me when you start feeling comfortable about these names.
Oh, I started feeling uncomfortable at name 1.
No, when do you feel comfortable? We're at Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Christian Wood, Cam Reddish. Okay. Our big spend,
a bit more comfortable because it's going to be a competitive game. Not as comfortable as his FanDuel price, which is in the 4K range. But look, Cam's been over 30 fantasy points, I think, 3 games straight now, I think, for what it's worth. So I'm not completely uncomfortable. I do understand Boston is a better team. So, take that for what it's worth.
Isaiah Joe getting the most ownership on FanDuel, 81% in my optimals right now. Josh Okogie at 59% on FanDuel. Yeah. Kuzma.
You know what?
Big spends.
This feels like a slate where I might need to splurge a little bit, Dean. Like I might just need to get in every contest because on these types of slates where guys like Isaiah Joe are picking up this much ownership, you can just hit the fade button and play some other guys and look, do I think Isaiah Joe is going to be a complete flop? No, I do not, because he's only 4,400. So it's not like, I'm super worried. But Dean, Isaiah Joe could very well go out here and get 10 fantasy points. Like that's not far-fetched.
Kuzma and Ingram are kind of the bigger spends on FanDuel as far as our builds. When you consider salary, you consider lineup construction, and Jayson Tatum looks like the best big spend. And Trae Young getting a discount on DK today, lower than 9K. I believe he's 8.8. Kuzma looks pretty good as well. I think Washington, for what it's worth, playing the 4th game in 5 days, which you don't see that very often. But that's what's going down. That is the first game that we're going to talk about, Atlanta versus Washington. You got anything else we should mention before we do the game-by-game deal?
Oh, no. Let's just hop in, man. We've already had our fun. We've still got well over an hour to talk a 7-gamer, so I feel good about where we are. Let's give the people what they need as we proceed to give you what you need.
236.5 is the total here. Atlanta facing the Wizards. Washington, 2.5-point dogs here. As far as who's in and who's out, kind of surprisingly, right? I thought this was surprising that Morris is going to give it a go for Washington versus Atlanta. He was upgraded to probable just a few minutes ago. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, Monty Morris, he has that back. He's still expected to be available. So otherwise, Washington is fully healthy. They're ready to go. Portland, they may why am I reading about Portland? That's a mistake. Atlanta is fully healthy too. So these are 2 fully healthy teams, which you don't see terribly often this time of year, but that's kind of what we're dealing with. Does the ownership reflect that? Well, prices are pretty good, like I mentioned, especially on DK for Trae Young. Trae Young all the way down to 8.8K, therefore he's getting 21% ownership. DeJounte Murray, pretty solid price at 7.7. I like Capella a good bit. We've seen his minutes spike up a couple times with the addition of Snyder. I'm not sure how necessarily predictable it is, but it is a good matchup. I like Capella for my tournaments. I don't think he's necessarily a cash game play, but I think he's an interesting tournament play today. Maybe he spikes up. We're giving him 28 minutes. And again, we've seen him play sometimes due to foul trouble for what it's worth, foul trouble for Okongwu. But there's at least an opportunity, at least a chance. And I believe if you look at the standings, these 2 teams are battling for what do we call it? Like play-in game nonsense, right? As of right now, Atlanta
I don't call it play-in game nonsense, Dean. Like
it's nonsense. Like these teams aren't going anywhere. They're just delaying the inevitable.
Okay.
Atlanta's not winning anything this year, and neither is Washington. We can agree. We cannot agree on that, sir.
I'm not gonna get us off the rails here, Dean.
It's just a way to make some more money, sell some more tickets.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Listen, these teams, even if they're not going to do it, it's a little bit more revenue. It's a little bit more fun for the fans. They're not at the very bottom of the standings, although they possibly could be. They get into play-in. They get in. They play a few more games. It's fun for everybody.
As of right now, Atlanta's got the 8th seed and Washington 1 game behind in the win column is currently in the 10 spot. So, yeah, both these teams will be trying. Like, they're at the point where there's no point really in tanking, so you might as well get yourself some playoff money. Have at it as far as the play-in games, and maybe you get lucky enough to have the honor of getting swept by Milwaukee in the first rounds. Yeah, so both teams, again, are healthy here. Good price for Trae Young on DK. Your thoughts as far as Atlanta? Feel free to jump over to Washington as well. And all three studs are healthy. Again, everybody's healthy on Washington. The DeLon Wright experience takes a big hit for what I don't care if it's a revenge game, but Morris being back certainly eats off him. So I don't think I'm going to play any Wright. Yeah, Beal's been in great form for what it's worth. But yeah, 4 and 5 nights for Washington. Both teams theoretically want to win. What are your thoughts, Atlanta versus the Wizards?
Well, Dean, since you mentioned, I know we didn't discuss this before the show, but I think I'm going to try to tackle FanDuel today. You take DK because FanDuel is a tight bill today. I think it's really tight, and so I'm going to go overarching here or overall, and then hopefully it'll make sense. And I'll go through each team as we go. But what I think you need to do on FanDuel tonight is you need to take your personal stances and go ahead and take them now. So what that means is, who do I want to play up top? Who do I want to play in the middle? Do I like any of the value? And that's going to help you, I think, make your decisions rather quickly because, a lot of the value is going to come from OKC, as we already talked about. Like you got Isaiah Joe at 4,400. You got some Wiggins. You got Jalen Wood. You got all. It's just the value on FanDuel is rough today. And so what I think you need to do is commit to the non-value first. Like decide, okay, who are the guys that I want to play today? Is it Donovan Mitchell? Is it, Jamal Murray? Is it Jokic? Who are those guys? And I'll try to help you and tell you who I'm going to play. But I think you commit to the top today and then figure out the rest from there because this value, I don't trust any of this value. And I think you could do very well just fading most of the high-owned guys. And I think you'll come out just fine. So, for instance, and I'm using this as an example, Dean, we've got DeAndre Hunter at 30% today at 5,300. Yeah. I don't feel great about DeAndre Hunter today. So he goes in the no pile for me right now. Do you get what I'm saying? Just because I can reallocate my salary in some other way. And I think get a better lineup than trying to force in a guy like DeAndre Hunter. That's what I'm saying. So I thought this was a good place to start. Figure out who you want to play at the top today, and then let's start building. So for me, I do think this is going to be an up-tempo game. And so if I end up on a Trae Young or a DeJounte Murray, then I'm probably going to be looking at a guy like Bradley Beal because Bradley Beal's 8,600, DeJounte's 85. Like I've kind of got some correlation on both sides of this game. Once again, total of 236.5. And we've seen Atlanta games really get pushed, right? Like we've seen some high scoring games with Atlanta. So I feel comfortable just completely getting rid of DeAndre Hunter, like at almost 30% ownership. And we've got him a little over 30, Getting rid of him at 30%. And then I'll say, you know what? Maybe give me Trae or DeJounte, and what I'll do is I'll put them in the lineup builder in a group. I'm taking either one or both. I'm not playing both of them. I'm putting them in a group. And I'll say, give me, maybe I want 25% exposure to Trae, 20% exposure to DeJounte, but I'm only going to play one of them in each lineup. I do like Bradley Beal today. We've got him projected around 18%. I do like the form. You did mention 4 and 5, but they're at home. Atlanta, this is going to be a back and forth affair. So I like Bradley Beal. I don't mind taking a shot on Kuzma. We've got him at 33%. I don't like that ownership for what it's worth, but I trust him more than I trust a guy like DeAndre Hunter, for an example. And then we've got Kristaps Porzingis at 9,800, which I think is too expensive. I think he's too expensive today. So I probably leave him out. But I think one of Trae and DeJounte and Bradley Beal on the other side is a great way, or one of Beal and Kuzma is a great way to get exposure to this game. Make sure you build that in your groups accordingly in Lineup HQ.
Yeah, not two of the fastest teams in the league, but we have a big number as far as the total. Washington pretty slow, actually. 21st in pace this year. Atlanta at 9. And for what it's worth, small sample with Snyder. They're like a little bit slower so far, but they also are two bad defensive teams.
That's the point I'm trying to make. So I know I said fast, and I'm sorry. I did lie to the people. These are two bad defensive teams, though. Like, no matter how you slice it, if it's bad defense, the ball's going in the bucket. And that's what we want. Thank you for that correction, D.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. I knew what you meant. Washington is 20th in defensive rating. Atlanta 22nd. As far as our defense versus our type matchup tool, based upon the matchup, the best matchup for the Washington side goes to Kyle Kuzma. Fourth best matchup for versatile forwards. Kind of a middle of the road matchup for Porzingis. 13th. It's fine. It's a weird game, man, because I like the Washington side, whether we're that one of their big three and all three are playing. They're all three in play. Beal, we've seen, been just awesome of late. I think no less than 21 shots in his last 3 games. It is 4 and 5. There's that thing about, like, they talk about jump shooters, on the back half. Well, this is 4 and 5, so maybe it's a little bit trickier, but I wouldn't necessarily get away from it. I don't have one that stands out, is sort of my thought as far as Washington. I'm good playing Trey or Capella or both and running it back with one of the 3. I think it's probably either Kuzma or Beal, and just salary is going to keep me away from Porzingis. But, of course, ownership reflects that as well. And like I said before, I have no interest in right now with the addition of Monte Morris. Not sure how much run he's going to get, but enough to eat away from Wright and even guys like Avdia. It's just the big 3. I suppose you can throw a dart at Gafford if you want, but there's always a ton of centers, and Gafford's in the back of the line. He's not in the Family Feud board for me. Let's move on. Only 7 o'clock game, by the way. It's the only game at 7 o'clock tonight. Just kind of worth noting. You take a screenshot of the slate. We have 3 games at 7:30. And then we take a little bit of a break, right? A couple games at 9, and then 10 o'clock, Toronto and the Clippers. That's the back half of the doubleheader on ESPN. The first game on ESPN, I believe, is Dallas and New Orleans. Before that, let's talk about, another potential blowout, right? We have a couple that are planned here on this slate. It's Portland at Boston. 230.5 is the total. Boston is a 10-point favorite. Boston's basically fully healthy. We haven't seen Robert Williams for a bit, but otherwise they're good to go. Horford's back. Tatum is back. Peyton Pritchard's questionable. Not a big deal. Doesn't really matter. For Portland, out. Simons has been out for a while. Arcidiacono doesn't really matter, but they may get Nurkic back. If they get Nurkic back, that would certainly hurt Eubanks. I'm not really on Eubanks anyway, but that would cross Eubanks off the list for me. I do not expect Nurkic to play a ton of minutes because, we haven't seen him in a while, and he's had a couple pretty bad injuries throughout the season, and also Portland really nothing to play for. Lillard's been lighting up the world. He's been absolutely incredible, just basically putting 40 points in the bucket on the reg. Dropped that 70-burger, of course, against Houston. This is Boston. Boston, pretty good defensive team. And, salary makes this tough. Lillard at 3%. Again, he's been phenomenal. He's been incredible. He had that triple-double versus Detroit. Again, Detroit and Houston, he's picking on those teams. Sure, he can get the Boston as well. It wouldn't shock us. But the most popular play in this game on DK, Tatum, a little bit underpriced at 10.3K as big spends go. And, Cam Reddish, he's been playing well of late. He was DNP-CDing with the Knicks. Obviously former lottery pick with Atlanta. There's a ton of potential. I know he's good in college, I believe, at Duke. He's hitting lineups because, again, this is not like the slate was last night. There is not a plethora of value plays. There's some and some uncomfortable stuff we'll talk about, but that's the 2 most popular plays in this game. It's Jayson Tatum as far as a big spend, and the mid-tier guy is Cam Reddish on the Portland side. And, you can always play Jaylen Brown. I'm okay with Horford. And Lillard is a really interesting, tournament dart. It's just interesting to see that he's getting really no ownership, and I understand why. But, if you're running 150, certainly put him in the pool. Will, what do you have as far as Portland and Boston?
Yeah, so once again, folks, I am going to be mostly talking FanDuel, so just hang out with me here, and Dean will take care of DraftKings. On FanDuel, we do have Lillard roughly around 4.5%, roughly. And I'm going to start with this analogy, and I'll say, when is the time to take the cookie out of the cookie jar? It's when your grandmother's in the bathroom taking a shower and has no intention of being in the kitchen. And
I thought you were going to say something else besides shower.
And while that may sound, and while that may be a weird analogy, my point is the time to play Damian Lillard is when no one is looking, right? And we think that Boston's some juggernaut defensive team, and I get it. Boston's been great. I've seen Damian Lillard cook good defensive teams all season, like Cleveland, like Toronto, or slower teams like Philly. I've seen him do this all season. I have no reason to not trust Damian Lillard, even in a spot here against Boston. I've seen Boston struggle with the Indiana Pacers, for crying out loud. So while nobody wants to play Damian Lillard today, we're talking about committing. Who are we going to commit to on this slate in terms of spend-ups? I think Damian Lillard goes in the pool. For me, I'd even be playing him in single entry just because no one's going to play him today. I mean, if you look at the big spins, and I'm not trying to, hop too far ahead, who are the big spins that we want to play? Really, it's nobody. It's all spread out all over the place. So what I think is I want to play some Damian Lillard today. You're telling me I've got a guy on this slate that's pretty much scoring about 40 points a game most games at this point. Well, I say about 40 because between 35 and 40. This means that essentially his floor is as high as anybody's. So we're giving him 30-plus points, and now he's got upside for more. I really like Dame here tonight at 11-2. I think we've got some sticker shock because the past couple of seasons Dame has been hurt. So like last season, we know Dame was hurt. And so we got used to paying this mid 9K, low 10K for Dame. Well, that's not Dame this season. Dame is an 11K spin, and so I want to allocate some shares for Dame. Now he's not going to be my only big spin, but what I'm saying is at the top where you've got Jokic, you've got Luka, and then you've pretty much got Dame and Tatum. I want Dame shares tonight because no one's looking at, and a lot of people aren't playing those other guys too. But I'm saying in terms of Dame's ownership, he's at around 4%. That's really low for a guy of his caliber. So I like Dame. I actually like this game as well. I think this game is going to be much tighter than the spread suggests. I mean, we got Boston at -10 here. I think it's tighter than that, Dean. So if I were you, I'd go take Portland. If you're on any type of sports book, just go take Portland at +10, +10.5, wherever you can get them. I like that tonight. Dame Lillard, one of my favorite big spins, one of my favorite studs on the slate by virtue of what this team is asking him to do and how he's been getting it done. Taking a lot of three-pointers as well, so I know you're doing DK, but that will help you on DK as you're getting that extra bump for the three-pointers. Also from Portland, I do like Cam Reddish tonight, but once again, he's at 30%. I do trust Cam more than DeAndre Hunter for what it's worth because I think Cam's going to play more minutes, be more involved on the offense. So I'm willing to play some Cam Reddish from Portland. And then on the Boston side, with everybody back outside of basically Rob Will that was playing meaningful minutes, I don't hate Tatum as a big spin. Tatum's number 3 on my list currently. So I've got 4 guys, but Tatum's number 3 on my list currently. I'm probably not going to play Jaylen Brown at 9,400 tonight. I don't think I'm going to get to Derek White, but I will have a little bit of Malcolm Brogdon off the bench. Not going to play Marcus Smart as well. So out of this game, I like Dame. I like Cam. I don't like Cam's ownership, but he might be a necessary evil for the amount of minutes he's playing and his involvement on offense with Simmons out. Other side of the game, I'm playing some Tatum, and then I'm going to go and play some Brogdon coming off the bench.
Quick, as the producer of this show, for every game going forward, Will, you are legally required to come up with some sort of analogy for that game.
Okay.
Or I'm cutting the stream. Is Jayson Tatum going to score more or less than 29 points is what I need to know.
Give me more.
Rob, if you have RotoGrinders Premium, right, we have projections, obviously, as far as, DK points, FanDuel points. We also have projections when it comes to exactly how many points, exactly how many rebounds, exactly how many assists the median projections are. I'm going on this diatribe as I'm going to find the NBA Premium projections. If you guys happen to have Premium out there, let's see what Premium suggests. Premium says Tatum, as a median, is going to score 30.53 points, which I think – I went to UCF now, so consider this, Rob. I think that's higher, right, than 29.5. So, if you want to bet over on Tatum, there you go. And if it's wrong, just at RotoGrinders Premium on Twitter.
No, I'm going to sue you if it's wrong for giving me false information.
I very clearly said projection. I didn't say I have Gray Sports Almanac, and this is exactly how many points Tatum's going to score in the bucket. Hey, Rob, now that I have you, when he was telling that grandma story, when he said grandma in the bathroom taking it, never mind.
I didn't know where we were going with that. I've seen enough, movies and heard enough tales that I was ready to hit the dump button.
Yeah. Maybe it was just me. Maybe that's just my brain. I don't know. That's kind of where I went. I have 2 questions for you, Willow. If you play Lillard, and by the way, if you play Lillard, you get him like 1 or 2% in single ownership, in single entry today. I mean, just nobody's going to play him, which is, I understand why. I understand how the nature of the slate is lining up. If you play Lillard, do you feel obligated to run it back with somebody from Boston? A, feel free to answer that question.
Okay. Gotcha. A, no, I do not.
Okay. And B, you said you have 4 studs. You have 4 studs on your list. Tatum was number 3 on your Family Feud board. Was Lillard also on that board? Is Lillard on there?
Lillard is number 1 for me today, for what it's worth. Numero uno.
So why wouldn't you play Lillard with Tatum? That's your board.
No. You asked, do I feel obligated, D? You didn't ask would I.
Okay,
you said, do I feel obligated? And the answer is no. Would I play Tatum on the other side? Yes. Is that going to be a much different build than you're going to see tonight? Absolutely. Why? The salary is tight on FanDuel, so you're going to have to get creative and think outside of the box in terms of how do you want to make that work, which is why for me, I love Lillard, and then I may take another game and put some pieces together from that game.
In chat, Hoosiers is asking about Horford with Williams out. I'm okay with Horford. I'm not necessarily seeking him out, but if it's like a last man in situation, I'm not going to blow my team up. I think he's fine. But I'm not like, is that kind of how you feel about Horford? I think he's okay. I'm not going to say he's a terrible play. He's a fine play. He's okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
just okay. I don't think Horford is going to hurt you. I don't think he's going to help you. But at 5,700 with no Rob Will, I do think he's viable. If that makes, hopefully that clears it up. We said the same thing in a different way.
Dallas Mavericks first half of that ESPN doubleheader. They're in New Orleans. 234.5 is the total. Dallas is a 2-point favorite. I believe this is also some playoff implications, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so Dallas, it's so congested. They're in the 5. Dallas, every single game, they're kind of jockeying. New Orleans is hanging on, barely hanging on, currently in the 10 spot. Oh, look at that. The Lakers jumped in. They're in the 9. Good for them. They took they grabbed themselves a win last night. It's really, really close, obviously. Portland and OKC, again, tied with New Orleans for that precious 10 spot to take on the 7, who's currently Minnesota. But we still have, a month left in the season, so plenty of jockeying to go down. Who's in and who's out as far as this game? I believe Reggie Bullock is doubtful, right? We had an update as far as Reggie Bullock. Yeah, he's doubtful. And no Maxi Kleber. Also JaVale McGee. So some size lacking on the Dallas side. New Orleans, no Jose Alvarado, no Larry Nance. We are getting Josh Richardson back. He's going to be playing basketball tonight. Zion, of course, who knows when he's going to come back, hopefully at some point. But Zion still unavailable. Back half of back-to-back and travel for Dallas. Luka, we do live in the world of a salary cap. You're aware of this, Will. So he makes it a little bit tough as far as paying up for him, 11.8K. But certainly if you get yourself some Luka, you're never upset about it. Just 8% owned. Right now, Kyrie Irving is at 9% on DK. The biggest ownership player right now on DK is Christian Wood, who Jason Kidd hates. I'm pretty sure he hates him. But, he's going to lean on him a little bit more than usual tonight. The absence of McGee, but the big one is the absence of Maxi Kleber. We haven't seen him for a while. So, and Wood's a really good fantasy point minute player. I don't know how much roamer he's going to get. We're giving him 23 minutes, so that's pretty positive. He probably doesn't face, I guess he wouldn't start against Valanciunas. So who would play the backup 5? Probably a good matchup for him out there. And Wood is not shy, of course, when he gets in the court, and probably doesn't play alongside both Kyrie and Luka a ton as far as usage. But how do you feel about I know this is DK. I'm not sure what he is on FanDuel, to be honest. I'm sure you'll jump on it in a second. But 22% ownership as of right now. And Christian Wood, it's a little bit uncomfortable. He's a volatile player, but I understand it at the same time.
Yeah, well, Christian Wood is sitting at 17% on FanDuel, which is fairly close. He's 5,900. D, what I will say to you is this. You're at the hospital. and you're the older brother, and now all of a sudden you've got another brother coming along, right? Another brother coming along, and then to your surprise, your mom and dad didn't go to the doctor's office before the baby. They thought one was coming. No, it ended up being two. So now you're the older brother, and you've got two twins that you've got to deal with. Guess what just happened to you, Dean? All those second helpings that you used to get out of the pot, those are gone. You're used to getting Jordans. Now you're going to be getting Adidas Superstar shell toes. You're not going to have the same quality of life that you've experienced. Guess what? That's Christian Wood, folks. Christian Wood thought he had it made going to play for Jason Kidd and Luka, and now this other brother shows up by the name of Kyrie Irving. Folks, Kyrie's a great play tonight. That's where I'm headed with this. At $9,600 and Luka being 11-8, their production levels are starting to become comparable. And I didn't think I'd be saying this in the year of our Lord, 2023. But their projections are not projections, but their performances have been comparable. What if I told you Kyrie Irving is number 2 on my list tonight, facing the New Orleans Pelicans? I really like Kyrie at 9,600, a guy that's able to go out and get us 50-plus fantasy points. I'm not playing Christian Wood tonight. I think that's a bad decision, because guess what? Now he's got to share even more. He doesn't have the same quality of life that he had prior to Kyrie coming. Hey, Luka doesn't even have the same quality of life. Do I trust Luka to get some fantasy points? Absolutely. But I think Kyrie's a better play for the money. We're getting a $2,000 discount on Kyrie tonight on FanDuel at 9,600. Really like Kyrie Irving. I think he's a great play tonight. And that way, we don't have to worry about trying to spend up for Luka. Stroh's fan 955 says, remind him we live in a world of a salary cap. I'm trying to help remind you of that right now, so you don't go and spend your hard-earned fantasy dollars on Luka Doncic. I'm trying to get you the discount by getting exposure to Kyrie Irving. I love Kyrie tonight. I think it's a great play. On the other side of this game, I'm not really interested in CJ. I don't want to play CJ tonight. I'm not playing Josh Richardson. I'm not playing JV, even though he had one of his weird explosions. What I am doing, though, Dean, I don't mind a little bit of Herb Jones tonight, who's 5,500, playing 30-plus minutes, Dean. And guess what? Nobody wants to play him. So we've got Herb at 15%. We've got Cam Reddish at 31%. We've got DeAndre Hunter at 30%. Dean, I consider this another value play that we can put in the mix, but he's not as popular. Herb Jones, 5,500. I think this is someone that you can get in your lineups tonight that's going to be comparable. I don't think Herb is a better play than Cam Reddish. I do think he's a better play than DeAndre Hunter.
All right, I'm just picturing Christian Wood with like the asking for more porridge, the porridge gift, the way you're kind of spelling it out. I do think he's cheap enough where I'm still considering Wood at 4.9, and there's a really strong fantasy appointment player. I think 1.22 on the season. So I'm still interested in Valanciunas. I'm interested in as well. Dallas, one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, I believe percentage-wise. Yeah, they're just ahead of Brooklyn. So this seems like a spot, and you never really know when Valanciunas is going to have that 32, 33-minute game, but maybe it's tonight, and he feels like he's going to have certainly a girth advantage when he's out there. The absence of Kleber certainly hurts the size for Dallas, and even just their defense overall. So I think he's got some upside for him. There's always the downside where he still doesn't close. That can happen, and like New Orleans just goes small, and Dallas will be happy to go small sometimes as well. Ingram on the other side.
Can I talk to Stroh's friend briefly? Stroh's. This is the reason, if you were listening to the show earlier, my guy or my gal, the reason I'm trying to talk about FanDuel is because it is a hard build tonight. That's the reason I'm actually focusing on it. So on DK, where Deed's covering it, DK is a little softer. You can build. I'm trying to give you some ideas on FanDuel so you don't have to struggle searching for value, clicking through a bunch of buttons. That's the reason I'm talking about FanDuel mostly, which I also explained so eloquently before all of your comments. Okay, D, let's get back to the show.
I'm just checking to see if anything has changed as far as body parts. Well, there's an update on Zion Williamson. Of course, he's not playing tonight. They're saying he's going to miss at least 2 more weeks. That's kind of a bummer. All right. That doesn't matter for us tonight. Daily Fantasy Sports, we care about tonight and tonight only. Richardson being back, I think, hurts just a little bit. Just slight dings on Herb Jones, slight ding on guys like Marshall. If you're, I'm not that I'm getting the
I'm less worried about Herb. I'd be more worried about Trey Murphy. Like, Herb is going to play his 35 minutes, I think, Dean. You get what I'm saying? We're
projecting for 30. For 30, they do need his defense. If nothing else, you can make that argument. He'll be out there for, defense. He'll probably be on. He'll be on either Kyrie, probably Luka. I guess he'll be on Luka, right? I imagine so.
Herb's going to have to play for
assignment, sure. But how do you feel about? Did you give a thought as far as Ingram? I doesn't sound like a.
I'm not as interested in the Pelicans tonight. With JV being back, it's okay. But Herb is my main guy from the Pelicans tonight. Not worried about CJ. Not really worried about Josh Richardson. Ingram's just okay. I don't think I'm going to end up with any Ingram or CJ McCollum.
By the way, same story. If you play Kyrie, that's a big spend. Obviously, you got to get that right. You want him to play optimal minutes. Would you want to run it back, or would you force a run back on the New Orleans side, or not necessarily?
My only run back is going to be Herb Jones. I'm not playing anyone else from New Orleans.
All right. Anything else as far as this game, or shall we move on?
Let's move.
Okay. The Cavs and the Heat are playing basketball this evening. Really, really low total. 215 is the total. Cleveland is a 2-point favorite here. Not a very appealing game from a DFS perspective. Of course, you're going to get ownership reflecting that. Just checking to see who's in and who's out if I may have missed something, but I don't think there's a lot of injury news in this game. Kevin Love with a first blood revenge back. First blood revenge. We're expecting him to be back with his rib. Of course, Kyle Lowry still out for Miami. He's been horrendous anyway. Cleveland is fully healthy, fully ready to go. Ownership-wise in this game, just giving a refresh here on the lineup HQ, seeing everything changed. But last I saw, it's really, really subdued. Again, 2 defensive teams, 2 teams that play slow. Makes a lot of sense. There's no real discounts baked in. The biggest ownership we have right now on DK is Bam Adebayo at 8%. Can you play him? Sure, he's fine. Am I targeting Bam Adebayo? No. Jared Allen on the other side, 7%. Garland at 6%. Jimmy Butler at 5%. I believe he's getting a little more popular on FanDuel. You know what's wild about Butler? I don't know if you saw this story. Find yourself a friend like Jimmy Butler. He played a home game in Miami on Monday, right? Played a game in Miami Monday night. Today is Wednesday. He played a home game tonight in Miami. You know what he did yesterday? He flew out to L.A. and watched the retirement ceremony of Pau Gasol, his jersey, in Los Angeles. This is what this guy's doing on his off day. So shout out to Jimmy. Good friend.
Shout out.
Yeah, I thought he might pop up on the injury report or something like that. Just give him a day with his knee or something. But
Jimmy wants to play. I will give Jimmy that. Like, he wants to play basketball.
Yeah. Well, you know how Miami's always playing games. Is just kind of like the point I was getting at. But you never really know what they're doing with their injury report. But yeah, I won't even pick you up from the airport. I mean, I guess I will, but I'll give you the stink eye. Like, have you not heard of Uber? But you want me to fly to LA? Huh. Yeah, all right. Anyways, Jimmy's a good friend. He's a better friend than I am, is the point I'm making. Your thoughts as far as Cleveland and Miami? Because I don't have a lot. It's just, if you want to throw some darts here, by all means, but this is not a fun game from our perspective. Yeah.
This is going to be a slow-paced game. I do think, for what it's worth, Dean, Victor Oladipo may be sneaky off the bench. At 4,800, this is a guy, but once again, this is more deep tournament stuff here. So this is, for me, I'm getting Oladipo if I'm playing maybe 20-plus lineups or more. Now I'm starting to get to some Oladipo in my builds. But I do think, he's one of those off-the-wall plays that you could include tonight because he does have fairly stable minutes. Like, he's going to play 20 to 25 minutes, and who's to say he can't go out and get 25 fantasy points? On FanDuel at 4,800, his salary is more valuable tonight than on DK, of course. So I don't mind him off of the bench. Overall, I'm not playing anyone from this game. Not one single person outside of Oladipo off the bench.
I didn't understand any of that because you did not present it in the form of an analogy. Like, I don't understand your analysis because, that was, you just gave me like straightforward.
You're correct, D. And listen, Rob, I'm sorry. Don't pull the plug. Let me make up for it right now. We're going to see how good my improv skills are. So I'm in high school. You're in high school, and you've got your spring dance coming up. And there's a plethora of gals, but guess what? There's only one gal you want to take to the dance. There's only one. It doesn't matter how great they look. It doesn't matter how good they smell. There's one and only one. And in today's Miami Heat game and Cavs game, there's only one person I want to play, folks, and that's Victor Oladipo. Outside of these studs, yes, I understand, but this feels like an old school slobberknocker game to me, and I only want Victor Oladipo off of the bench.
What does Victor Oladipo smell like?
I don't know, Dean, and I don't care. Yeezy said when the lights go off, it don't matter.
I really appreciate
next game.
I appreciate Derek's Back to the Future reference there in the chat. Well done. The enchantment under the sea dance. What is Oladipo's ownership on DK? I have not considered Oladipo. He's 4. I mean, come on. I'm not playing Victor. I know we're kind of scraping the barrel here, but there ain't no way. Ain't no way. Look at me. English.
Okay. Guys, you heard that, right? You already know what's happening. Victor Oladipo is today's mush play. Just go ahead. He's now helped Victor Oladipo have a victorious winning fantasy point score. All right, here we go.
Okay, so I know nothing about college basketball, basically, like more than the average bear, but whatever. It's a general thought. Taylor is asking me what college Oladipo went to. Nobody helped me. I believe he went to Indiana. I'm fairly certain he went to Indiana.
All right, D.
Can you confirm?
Okay.
That's true, correct? The closer we are
absolutely.
in like recency, I know less and less as far as college basketball. So I know a little bit about like 7 years ago or whatever it happened. But yeah, I have nothing else as far as this game. Let's move on. Let's talk about something a little bit more exciting. This whole slate, there's not a lot of amazing games, to be honest. I don't if I'm trying to think if I had to play one player in this game. I don't know how vengeful Kevin Love is. I don't love his price either. I don't like any of it. It's just bad. I guess Bam at 8K on DK if I'm playing on DK, but not seeking anything out. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Bulls. The Bulls and Denver, 225.5 is the total. Denver is a 9-point favorite here as far as who's in and who's out in this game. Denver should be fully healthy. Like what? Vlatko Gankar is questionable. That doesn't matter so much. Zeke Naji, of course, still out with his shoulder. The Bulls are fully healthy, assuming we're not talking about guys like Lonzo Ball, who's been out the entire season. So fully healthy Chicago team versus a Denver team that's fully healthy as well, with the exception of a couple, fringe players. Big spends. I love Jokic. I love the Joker. It's a little bit tougher to get to him today, just the way, again, salary works. There's not a ton of value out there. He's probably the top raw points player. If it's not Luka, it's Jokic, right? I would imagine. Let's do a quick peek at that. Okay, so it's Luka and Jokic, and then there's Tatum a few points down, and there's Lillard a few points down. This game again. There's 7 games today. It just sort of feels smaller. You tell me otherwise. And again, feel free if you're feeling ambitious to use yourself an analogy. But I don't really like this game either. Like if I get to Jokic, if I find a way and it's not hampering the rest of my lineup, of course I'm in. I'm not gonna besmirch that. But I don't know how much I'm going on my way to get Jokic. And just overall, like our biggest ownership play is Alex Caruso at 23% currently. That seems outrageous. That seems like bad chalk to me. Just hoping for a bunch of stocks. He's cheap and he makes stuff work, but he's 3-4. He's got a 20-point projection. What do I want to do with that? Don't love the Vukovic matchup necessarily. Denver's a really good rebounding team. I think they're the best rebounding team in the league. So that suppresses his ability to grab, a double-double. I don't really like this game. Will, tell me otherwise.
So, you're a little kid. It's time for bed. And your mom comes in to read your story. She reaches into your book box, because I don't think, I had a book box when I was a kid until I got older, and then I got a bookcase. So I had a book box. They reach into this case. They pull out an orange book, and it's an orange book by Dr. Seuss, and it says green eggs and ham. And it says, I do not like green eggs and ham, and that's how I feel about this game. I don't like the Bulls-Nuggets game at all. However, there are a few pieces like the expensive ones, like a Jokic on FanDuel, of course, that you can play. Not going to have any problems there. I do think DeRozan or Levine are in play just in terms of their score. I know DeRozan hasn't played well over the course of the back half of the season, but at 8,200 in a game that may be fairly competitive, I do like DeRozan at 8,200, which leads me to a secondary point about this slate. The reason why I was saying let's identify the stars that you want to play, you may not be able to play two of them, right, Dean? You may only be able to play one star on FanDuel, which is why I thought it was imperative to identify those guys or identify who you wanted to go ahead and commit to. If you're not going to play stars at all on this slate, which may not be a bad idea, then you're going to leave yourself in the mid-range where guys like DeMar DeRozan may be beneficial. Jamal Murray at 8,300 may be beneficial. And maybe you can build your lineup that way to try to minimize some of the cheap plays that you absolutely will have to play, like, Okogie and some of the others that are going to have really, 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 really high ownership that I don't like at all. So identify the studs that you want to play. Maybe I would say 2 to 4 studs that you like. And then let's build it from there. But if you're not building with studs, this is definitely a mid-range build slate on FanDuel.
By the way, producer Rob and Chad, I appreciate your analogy, but apparently the point of Green Eggs and Ham, I can't say I've read it recently, was to say that he did in fact like green eggs and ham. Was that how the spoiler alert? Is that how the book ends? It's actually pretty tasty. He gives it a chance. He tries new things. I don't remember.
He did.
Rob, can you confirm? Feel free to chime in. But again, it's been a while since I didn't have a book box, man. I was
muted, but what happened is he comes in and he's like, I don't like green eggs and ham while eating with Will and Dean. And then by the end of the book, he's like, I really like eating green eggs and ham while eating with Will and Dean. That's subjective of how it actually
went. The moral of the story is to have an open mind. Is that the moral of the story?
Yeah. So the moral of the story is to just smash Chicago, Denver game stacks.
I don't think it is though. But I hear you. I don't think Dr. Seuss was aware of Nikola Jokic and his prowess in the NBA. I'm fairly certain of that. But hey, if you know what, we don't seem to like this slate a ton, Will. A lot of stuff we haven't really talked about. There's nothing that I absolutely must play. If you don't want to mess with the nonsense value we've talked about so far, may I suggest maybe you play over on Stat Hero. You don't have to mess with any of this nonsense. Stat Hero, a unique fantasy sports platform that allows users to compete against the house instead of other players in a contest with head-to-head style contests as well as pick'em style contests. You can also play in their new Searing 12 contest. Now that's for a chance to win $10,000. You play and win. Start your streak. Keep your streak alive by playing each and every day. Build your streak, win prizes, consecutive win streaks, including RotoGrinders swag, RotoGrinders premium. There's cash prizes as well, too. Use that promo code GRINDERS. That's GRINDERS. 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Jump into the action today. I believe you got to hit 12 in a row to win 10K. And it's also free to play. We'll go ahead and I'll drop that link in chat for the people if you're not aware of Stat Hero. It reminds me of that old ESPN streak, beat the streak or win the streak. I think they got rid of it. You remember that thing, Will, back in the day, the ESPN streak, going streaking? Yeah, I don't remember how they pronounced it or what they called it, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. Each level, you get different prizes. But we did also want to hit on a couple of the pick'ems. And you know what? I'll just let the people know, Will. I said, I go, you want me to prep you for this? And you're like, do you want to be able to know in advance? I'm going to catch you off guard, and you got to tell me on the fly. Speaking of Nikola Jokic, he's the first one. It's this guy or that guy, rebound specific. You got Nikola Jokic versus DeAndre Ayton, but wait for it. DeAndre Ayton's getting a 2.5 point spread. He's getting 2.5 rebounds thrown his way. Who's going to grab more boards tonight, Jokic or DeAndre Ayton?
Give me Jokic, even with the DeAndre Ayton plus 2.5.
One more, since we're on this Denver-Chicago game, as far as rebounds. Oh man, I love one side over the other here. Capella versus Vukovic. Who's going to grab more rebounds?
Just straight up, no bump.
There's no bump.
Oh, Capella all day. He's got Washington. Capella's probably
Yeah.
got 14, 15 rebounds in this game.
Yeah, what's interesting, it says projected rebounds for and this is according to Stat Hero's projections for what it's worth. I don't know if that's based upon like a season-long average or what, but the projection actually favors Vuk. But I think Capella is the sharper play when you consider matchups. We are in agreement. All right, again, check out Stat Hero promo code Grinders, GRINDERS. You get yourself a $250 deposit bonus. Well, 50% deposit bonus up to $250. And again, UCF math. If you deposit $500, you would get a $250 deposit bonus. 3 games left to talk about. Wait, no. Again,
yeah, Dean, let's hurry up and get through these games, because what I want to do tonight for the people on FanDuel, I actually want to build a tournament lineup live on the show. So if we can get through these games, I want to show these people how I do my thing. You don't have to do it like me. Listen, I'm not Squirrel Patrol. I get it, but I've done this a while, win some money from time to time. So I do want to show people on a tight slate how you can get creative and make really good decisions to win some money. So if we can get through it, that'd be great. As long as you're
just
cool with
2
that,
games
Rob.
left. Producer Rob, we good with that? Rob can figure it out on the fly, I imagine. I hope so. I assume so.
I'm the most talented person in this company, so of course I can.
Also the most modest, too. Don't forget that.
And handsome. Don't forget about that. And I'm very jacked and tan.
This is what Rob's doing right now.
By the way, Taylor in chat says 100 likes and Dean chugs ranch dressing live on stream. I wouldn't do it for like 1 million likes. Ranch is vile. I wouldn't even take a spoonful of ranch. It's gross. Okay, let's salad dressing is a general thought. Fade. Okay, next game we're talking about OKC and Phoenix 233.
Not even on salad. Wait a minute. Hold on. As a general,
I'll eat it dry. Yeah.
Are you? What is happening? You are now the biggest psychopath in the company. What?
That's it? I just catapulted everybody?
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening right now. How do you eat salad without salad dressing?
It's gross. Oh, it's just vile.
What are you eating? What kind of salad dressing have you tried? There's 137 different salad dressings. Oh my God.
I've tried enough. It's not for me, which is fine. And if you guys, I'm not saying you can't have it. Personally, it's just not. It's not for me. I'm not a fan. OKC and the Suns, 233.5 the total. Phoenix is a 14-point favorite. The chat is turning on me. That's okay. That's fine. I understand. I understand it's like a hot take or like.
Listen, Derek says Dean eats boiled chicken and rice. And then to close it out, he said, "That's it." Derek, you win. You win. Oh, so, man.
Here we go. The OKC Thunder, right? They are not going to get shut out. It's a professional basketball game. It's not a baseball game. So they're probably going to score 100 points or so, right? So somebody's going to have some value theoretically. They do have plenty of bodies. They have a lot of guys still, despite the fact, the important ones are rolled out. No SGA, no Jalen E.N. Williams, no Kenrich Williams. I don't believe Poku is going to be available. I think he's working in the G League right now. As far as Phoenix, they are fully healthy with the absence of Landry Shamet. Durant and Booker have been just ridiculous as far as efficiency playing together, not surprisingly, because they're just getting each other really, really good shots. We don't know what the starting lineup is going to be. We are projecting it to be Giddey, Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort, Wiggins, and Jalen, that's Lin, Williams. I wouldn't be shocked if Dario Saric has a little revenge game on layaway. I like him as is. He's got a chance to mop up if this game gets ugly. Lindy Waters, probably a mopper as well if this game gets ugly. OKC, we got to have this conversation. You got to kind of sort of get OKC right. It's uncomfortable, though. All of it's uncomfortable as far as the Thunder. Giddey, of course, will be the big usage guy, assuming this game stays. Who is calling me right now? Good Lord. Oh, unbelievable.
The food police are calling you. That's who's calling you. You are under arrest. This is ridiculous.
Big Salad is calling me right now. Like, how dare you besmirch? Talked about the Thunder here because it's all uncomfortable, but somebody's going to get there. How many somebody's going to get there?
Well, it reminds me of a time where you're a kid. You got your favorite pair of jeans, and you wear these jeans once a week to school. And these jeans have gotten washed all first and second semester. You've grown a little bit, Dean, between first and second semester. And you take off those pants and you put them in the laundry and they get washed one more time. You pull them out. Maybe your mom irons them or you iron them for yourself. And you put them on and you realize you got a little bit of hang time down there now at your shoes, D. Your pants are now high waters. Well, when I was in school, high waters were not popular. Now they're a little bit more popular. Guys can wear pants that hang around their ankles. That's not how it was when I was a young adolescent. But because, hey, you got to go to the store, parents have got to take you shopping, you've got to now wear those high water pants, Dean, and you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable for the day. That's what's going on here in this Oklahoma City Suns game. And while I don't like the value, I will tell you right now, I'm not playing all of this OKC value. I don't mind the guys that I feel like are going to get the minutes. I don't want to play Isaiah Joe. I think he's just going to get the fade. He is going to get the minutes, but I think I'm just going to take a fade on Isaiah Joe. What I will do is get uncomfortable with the guys that won't get the ownership, like he said, like Dario Saric at 4K. I don't like that play either, Dean, to be honest with you, because I don't trust the minutes because we're banking on a blowout. But I'd rather do that than play 4,400 Isaiah Joe at 66%. Aaron Wiggins is only at 10%. He's 5,300. He may very well play 30 minutes. I'd be more inclined to play him because the ownership projection is a lot lower. Jalen Williams, Dean, 4,800. I'd be more inclined to play him. He's 11% owned. These are the plays I want to play. I don't want to play Mr. High Waters himself, Isaiah Joe, who very well may or may not wear high waters, but for the purpose of this analogy, he's the uncomfortable piece that I don't want in my lineups tonight. So if you're asking me right now, Chief, what are you doing? I'm hitting the X button on Isaiah Joe. He goes bye-bye. There's no reason at all to play a 66% owned Isaiah Joe. If he comes out and gets 40 fantasy points tonight, I clap my hands, I move on to the next slate. But I don't think that's a great investment tonight. I do, however, I would prefer to play Jalen Williams for 400 more. He's got power forward and center eligibility, Dean, on a slate on FanDuel where we are looking for ways to get creative. I think Jalen Williams gives us the same exposure to this game, but just avoid him. So there we go.
I for the record, I had to Google what high water pants look like. It's kind of capris-esque. Is that I don't know. I mean, I know it's not capris.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dean had to Google high water pants. This is another phenomenon. Dean, I'm not going to call you a psycho.
This is a landmark show for you today.
I can't believe Dean had to Google high water pants. This is insane.
Is that is there another word for that? High water pants? I don't know.
Dean was very serious about this, folks. He said I had to Google high water pants.
Well, I want to know what you're talking about. I'm like, what is high water pants?
You got to make sure you're not getting water when the flood comes, Dean. Is
that so that's the origin of that? Like basically,
no, it's because you were too poor as a kid to buy new jeans, so they start riding up you as you're growing, and you get made fun of for having the high water jeans.
I have a side question out of curiosity. You talk about doing laundry. How often do you wash your jeans? Like every time you wear your jeans, do you automatically wash it or no? Because I know some people that will wait a long time, and I think there's a line you shouldn't cross on that one. But
it's 2 to 3 for me.
You can wear the jeans 2 to 3 times and then you wash it, depending on what.
Depending on situations that happened while wearing the jeans, but yes.
Will?
It's situational, Dean. 2 to 3, I think is great. But if I've had them on all day and I've been running around, like they're going in they're going to wash. Now, Dean, this is the bougie part of my life that you probably don't know. I get all my jeans dry cleaned. Every single pair. but I don't get creases. They know no creases in the jeans. Just dry clean them. But here's why, Dean. I buy jeans like once every few years. Like I've got jeans I've had for plenty, and they last because I get them dry cleaned. But hey, that's me.
Why is everyone outing themselves as psychopaths on the show today? What is happening here?
We're not outing ourselves. This is how I save money and don't go and spend $60 or $80 on another pair of jeans. I get them dry cleaned.
You save money by going to the dry cleaners every other day?
Absolutely.
Like $5 a pop at least.
Right, because now I don't have holes. They last a very long time. Very long time.
I call.
Smokey in chat, by the way.
You get your time. That's what get TJ out of this chat. TJ's like, he's like so here's what TJ's like right now. We got a full-blown championship wrestling match going on for the WCW WWF title, and he's the Intercontinental Champion. He wants to come in and screw it all up for all the other viewers. He's like, he's just going to make his way down the ramp and try to climb into the ring and screw up the greatest battle of all time. That's what TJ's doing right now.
Yeah, who's weirder? Yeah, the battle of who's fucking weirder today on the RotoGrinders stream? The guy who doesn't eat salad dressing, or the guy that dry cleans his jeans every other day?
Well, not every other day.
I think it's a pretty obvious answer.
So it's not every other day. It's not every other day. First of all, in our line of work, I don't have to wear jeans but once a week. So, my jeans last a very, very, very long time.
I haven't worn jeans since like 1972. Well, why are you wearing jeans?
This is why you don't know what high water pants are. Thank you, Dean. This is why you had to Google them.
All right. By the way, as far as ownership stuff, and again, a lot of this is relevant based upon like the projected starting lineup, but on DK, Wiggins, 35%, Isaiah Joe's getting 30%, Jalen Williams getting 23%. You mentioned him being a power forward eligible on FanDuel, only center on DK, which certainly hurts him. What is interesting is like if this game is like close and OKC's playing well, I imagine Josh Giddey, he's coming off an incredible game yesterday. Now the absence of SGA, he's going to have all the usage in the world. Maybe they suppress his minutes a tick, back half of a back-to-back, but we haven't projected for 33. I think Phoenix just kind of wins this game running away, but that's sort of where Vegas is at too, 14-point line. I think my favorite dart is Dario Saric. Now, if he starts, obviously the ownership's going to reflect that, but right now he's only getting, 22% ownership at 3.4K on DK. And I saw somebody in chat, I apologize who it was, somebody in chat was talking about a sneaky play, I can't remember the adjective they used on FanDuel, for considering to roster themselves some, who was the dude? For Phoenix, Okogie. Yeah, he's not going to be sneaky at all. He's going to be very popular on FanDuel at 29%. Yeah. He covers that small forward and shooting guard position.
You said 29% on FanDuel? You must mean DraftKings.
No, you got to hit refresh, Will. They're on top of this, man. They just put a new batch in there as far as ownership.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
29. All right, I got you.
And then Phoenix,
I had him at 44. I was like, man.
What are we doing with the Suns? Like, if you think this game's going to blow out, then nobody really hits their max capacity as far as their ceiling. We've seen Durant coming in, hits other guys to a certain degree. Durant's down less than, 5 figures. He's 9-8 on DK, and his minutes seem to basically not now. I think they're going to be fine. Like, they kind of, pushed them along slowly. Now we're looking at 35 minutes. I think certainly one of Booker or Durant can get there. Again, it's a nice little, if you want to run back in this game, I'm perfectly fine with either. Do you have a preference amongst those two studs?
Yeah, long term is Durant. For right now, I think it's Booker.
Yeah,
but in this game, it may not matter. Do you get what I'm saying? Like in this game, it may not matter. In a matchup where they were playing a much better team, it may matter. In this game, I don't think it does.
We have the crunch time crew, by the way, coming in about 5 minutes or so. I believe it's Andre and
let's get through this game. I did want to go through like a quick build. So yeah, let's get through this game, Dean, if we can.
All right, last game of the night. This is actually an hour after that OKC Phoenix game. Second half of the ESPN doubleheader. I think this is it, right? Yeah, Toronto and the Clippers. 230 is the total. Clippers are about 3-point favorites here. Worth noting with Westbrook, the Clippers have been playing worse defensively and a lot faster, distinctly faster. I assume Westbrook's still going to be starting, but at some point they might change that up. They've not been terribly successful. I believe they only grabbed one W so far. Toronto is fully healthy with the exception of maybe Will Barton can't go. He's currently ill. He had the fish, not feeling particularly well. You know what Will Barton had actually? He had a salad with ranch dressing on it, and now he's not feeling well. Norman Powell is out for the Clippers, so that's the only guy missing as far as LA.
Yeah, and I think that's a big deal. I think that's a big deal.
Okay, well, tell me why that's a big deal as far as the Clippers.
Because Eric Gordon is in a similar situation as all these other cheap guys, but we've got him projected at 1%. Now I know the projection on him isn't as good, but we're talking about trying to get away from 50% on Isaiah Joe on FanDuel. Give me Mr. Gordon at 4,800 all day long. And in fact, you know, this reminds me, Dean, of what it feels like when you have a stalker. And everybody, the stalkers, they're following you all around. Every website, every person is talking about playing all of this thunder value. Everybody's talking about it. It's been following you around in your stream and your research all day, right? But you've got the hidden gem. I don't know why everything's going to relationships today, but you've got the hidden gem. I've got Eric Gordon sitting here in a very similar situation, but the projection is not lining up. So no one's taking a look at him. But at 4,800, we talked about the fact that Mr. Powell is going to be out. I really like Eric Gordon tonight.
Okay. Eric Gordon, for what it's worth, on DK, getting 1% ownership. Do get that 3-point bonus. We are projecting they'll play 28 minutes. Kawhi and Paul George. George's been hit pretty hard with Westbrook's arrival. The ownership reflects it, just 3% there. If you want to call it a revenge game for Kawhi, sure, why not? I suppose you can do that. Assuming that we have Westbrook starting, and I guess you won't know this until all the other games have locked, and you're kind of pot committed, but I think FAV's got a chance to get himself a potential ceiling game. Pascal's perfectly fine. Pirtle, this is a tricky one because sometimes, the Clippers, they tend to like to go to small, but if they force Pirtle out there for 30 minutes or so, I think he can kind of sort of have his way. And then the price, there is absolutely a sticker shock on him. I think especially on FanDuel. He's 6'6" on DK. I want to say Pirtle's, but is he 8K over there? It's a huge number. So I'm speaking more so for DK for tournaments, but yeah, go ahead.
So my boy Keelan Brown says Eric Gordon, oh God, SMH. I don't think he realizes Eric Gordon's been playing 30 minutes roughly every game these past few games, and now we don't get Norman Powell. So it might not feel great, but Isaiah Joe is 4,400 playing the Suns, and everybody seems to be comfortable doing that. When I don't like why in tournaments, there's no need to play a 50% Isaiah Joe when Eric Gordon's going to get the same treatment pretty much, and he's 1% owned. It won't feel good, but this is how you win tournaments. This is the formula.
For what it's worth, Keelan is basically in my head. That's essentially what I said. Like Eric Gordon, oh God, shake my head.
Dean, did you know he played 30 to 30 plus minutes the past 3 games? Did you know this before you said that?
I know he's been getting some run. Yes, I'm aware.
Okay, so saying you're aware he got more run. Were you aware he's getting 30 to 30 plus minutes the past 3 games?
I believe was one of those an overtime game. Am I wrong to assume that? But yeah, he's been getting more. He's been getting some more run, and good for Eric Gordon. But it's still Eric Gordon. You can't forget that.
I get it. It's still Isaiah Joe, but we're comfortable playing him today. I'm just trying to help the people make better decisions.
No, I look, if you want to throw a dart in a tournament at Gordon, of course, I'm not saying you can't do it, but I am absolutely not enthused at the prospect. But it's also a good point that you're making overarching as far as the slate is that there's not a lot. The slate yesterday was totally different than the slate today. Yesterday there was too much value. Today, the value is all sort of sketch, different degrees of sketch, and that's kind of where I'm at. And the OKC stuff looks like value now. Like it can certainly change. You can flip on its head depending on what our starting lineup happens to be. The Thunder, more than once, they will change it. But we can't fully predict what they're going to roll out as far as a starting lineup. And guess what? Once they have a starting lineup, it's possibly going to change, or maybe likely to change in the start of the second half. They do that all the time as well. So there is fragility to the Thunder. And that's, I know it's one of your overarching themes of the show, is that tournament wise, don't just assume the projections are the projections and that's that. It's uncomfortable. But I know, Will, you wanted to kind of like mess around with a little bit of a build. We do have,
but we don't have
guys,
time.
I believe.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, maybe another day we'll put it on layaway, I suppose. We talked so much about analogies and things of that sort. I believe Andy and Andre.
Don't try to blame our producer because we didn't make it, Dean. I thought this was a good spin on the show, like something fresh, something new, like ranch dressing on your salad that you can obviously use at any time.
We've learned that you're both psychopaths, so that was refreshing today. I was very excited about that. Will goes
not new information, to be fair.
No, but this is like expert level psychopath, not using salad dressing at all. There's 137,000 flavors of salad dressing, and you can't find one that you like to put on your salad.
To be fair, I after like 15 or 10, I just cut myself off. Universally, I said that's not for me.
No,
I didn't read green eggs and ham in a while, so I suppose I have to fire that up. For what it's
Rob,
worth,
Dean doesn't eat a lot of foods. Okay, so
plenty, just the wrong stuff. And
Dean doesn't put seasoning on it; just puts it on the grill, pulls it off, and eats it.
You're not innocent either, Will. You go to the dry cleaner every other day for your jeans because it's going to save you money. Like the $30 you're spending.
You've now exaggerated. You've now exaggerated.
I have not. You said you bring them to the dry cleaner every time.
Every time, but I don't go every day. Remember, our line of work, I wear jeans probably on the weekend when I go out and hang out. Right?
And Monday morning, your ass is at the dry cleaner dropping them off.
No, I go like once a month.
Who's got time for that?
52 times a year. All right, that's still psychotic behavior.
Wait, you go to the dry cleaner once a month, but you wear the jeans once every weekend, and you wash them every 2 or 3 times after two or three. Hold on, I'm confused. That doesn't add up.
No, jeans are a part of what I take to the dry cleaner. I don't just take the jeans. Like I've got shirts that I wear to church that I wear every Sunday. Those go. It's like 4 or 5 shirts, right? Like you know what I'm saying.
But do you have 4 different pairs of jeans in the rotation? Is that what's going on? Is that what I'm missing out on?
No, I've probably got like 10 pairs of jeans.
In the rotation? Those are all starters? No. 10 is too many.
See, this is what I'm trying to tell you, Dean. I don't have to buy jeans very often. I buy them
because he buys them in bulk.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
He goes to Costco and give me like 10 of these.
I buy different types of jeans along and along. They go to the cleaners, and whenever I feel like wearing them, I wear them. And I don't have to go back, but maybe once every couple of years if I want a new pair, and that's if I want them. The old ones are still perfectly fine.
All right, let's bring in Kevin and Andy and see how psychotic they are and what their psychotic tendencies are as well.
Well, Rob drinks warm beer, so let's just start there.
It's true.
As a preference, or just like he'll do it in a pinch?
No, I'll do it in a pinch. I also vastly prefer eating food with my hands, even if it's like a pork chop. If I'm all alone, like
Rob,
I would much rather eat with my hands.
That's manly, Rob.
When I water my plants, I like to drink out of the same water that I'm watering them with. It feels like camaraderie for me.
As long as you're not drinking out of the plant, I guess it's fine.
So I'm not innocent in the craziness either.
Do you
Rob's favorite restaurant, Medieval Times?
I do love Medieval Times. It's so good.
Do you at least use salad dressing? Can you confirm that?
I actually I don't like salad dressing either. I'm with Dean on that. So he just dipped out. And I think that jeans are really only dirty if you spill something on them or sit by a campfire. Otherwise, they're like eternally clean. You can wear them.
Or go to a smoking restaurant.
Or go to a smoking place. Yeah. That's
how often, how many wears, how many rounds will you wear the jeans until you say I have to throw this in the wash or take it to the dry cleaners?
Is it a light wear? Because a light wear doesn't even count. Or am I like in them sweating in them all day? Then it's different. I don't know.
What's the 3 to 5 times, 6 to
no more than 3 to 5. Yeah, it's north of 3 to 5 times for sure. But 10 is probably you're probably getting there at that point.
Fair enough. Well, do you have Andre coming in? Am I missing? Is he a late scratch? Is he going to be coming in? Because I apologize. I thought he was. I hyped him up. I threw him out there. I said he's going to be coming here, but
definitely on the schedule. Might be late getting out of the locker room.
Okay.
Well, let me say this. I was going to do like I was gonna do a FanDuel build tonight for tournaments, just because it's really tight over there. Here's what I will tell everybody to do, because I want you to see how you can really open up things if you just do something different. Plug in Kyrie, plug in Eric Gordon, plug in Jalen Williams from the Thunder, and then look at how much salary you have left. If you start there, you'll really see that, hey, it feels tight, but you can still get it done. And then take out Kyrie and plug in Dame, which is my favorite play tonight, and you'll still see, oh, I've got room to get this done. Like, it's tight, but I can still make good decisions. So start there, everybody, and I think you'll see quickly how easy it is to just go slightly different and still have great lineups to build. All right, that's it.
All right, myself and Will, we're going to step aside. We're going to make time for crunch time. Do appreciate y'all watching the first portion here in Grinders Live. Do hit that like button kindly. Subscribe, turn on those notifications so we know we're doing a good job, and so we can keep it staying on air, as Roth says. You know, the more eyeballs, the more likes, the more likely we are to continue to make this show free. Myself and Will, we appreciate you guys sticking with us for the first portion. Now, the FanDuel sponsor crunch time. It's Kevin Roth. It's Andy Means. Go for it, Roth.
Excellent stuff. As well, some of your takes not excellent, but the sports content excellent as always. Joined by one of the sharpest minds in the biz, if not the sharpest mind in the biz. It's one, Mr. Andy Means. What up, Means?
Do you eat the salad dry? Like you just not eat salads at all? That's the key point here.
I'm not much of a salad guy, but I have been known to just I told you I eat with my hands, so I'll just grab just the salad leaves, the spinach, and just chomp them dry. So
that sounds miserable.
Rob just popped in to shake his head at me and left.
Yeah, I probably negate the benefits of the salad with how much dressing I put on. So probably not shocking when you see my physique. But yeah,
you're slim these days, bud. Hey, I think we might have your svelte means we might have somebody coming in for some tournaments. I think TJ might actually be jumping in for Andre. But we do have to talk about this slate. First, just a couple quick things. I know we've kind of been BSing for a while. Someone said, who wins in a chugging contest, Roth or Grant? And it is Grant.
Grant's the default answer.
Grant can drink a beer as fast as you can pour it on the ground. Like that, he drinks as fast as gravity, if not faster. I may drink as many beers as him in a night, but certainly not as fast. No doubt about that. And then quick shout out to Yappy Cappy, mayor of the RG Discord. He says a big shout out to him and his daughter, Ella, who are currently watching and listening. So
hi, Ella.
Hey, Ella, what's up? We appreciate all of our, long time people like Yappy. I feel like they've been in that Discord since it's been born. So we appreciate that. Make sure that if you're not in the Discord, you are. Join up. That's where all the cool kids are. Also, this show is free because it is sponsored by FanDuel. So make sure you're jumping in, checking out the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $20 on any market. Get $200 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. Not available in Massachusetts. Means all of my nonsense is out of the way. Let's talk about the slate.
You could have kept going, man. There's not a lot to talk about.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better.
Do you have anything else?
No, I'm actually not. Yeah. Sorry.
This is, I'm sure it's been said, but it could not be a more polar opposite of yesterday. Yesterday's slate was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It was just really, really good. Felt like kind of like an old school slate, news breaking a ton, right up until lock, a ton of value, a ton of good expensive plays. Literally the exact opposite tonight. I could not have been less enthused to look at this slate all day, and it has not changed. So
you picked a good day to take off and a good one to work. Nice job, Means.
Yesterday I was loving the little window of no show to build some lineups. We have literally no Q tags unless you want to count Will Barton and Vlatko Kankar. They said Nurk's going to play. Morris is going to play. So Bullock's out. Yeah, there's just a crappy slate, man. There's and when we get into plays, it's not going to be any better. So I don't know. We have 33 minutes to kill. We can make do. And luckily we got TJ in here now.
Yeah. One thing about a crappy slate is that you can win the same amount of money, whether it's a good slate, an easy slate, a hard slate, whatever. Everybody's kind of at the same spot. And we do have TJ jumping in, not just a fan of superheroes, but a superhero himself for jumping in and giving us. Thank you. What up, TJ?
Do you eat salad dressing, TJ, before you even answer any other questions?
I will say
Don't be careful.
For my body,
I will get rid of you.
Don't eat salad enough for this to even matter. But I do put salad dressing on my salad. I'm an oil and vinegar guy.
Okay.
Little balsamic.
You guys have never had a good Thousand Island? Ooh. Like never had a good Thousand Island? What do you think goes on like patty melts and stuff?
I've literally never tried any of this. But anyways,
Thousand Island.
You're 137 years old. How have you not tried any of this?
I feel like that was such a random stray I just caught. Like, I'm 137 years old. All right. Hey, let's talk about this slate. Means let's kick it over to FanDuel. We got to give the people some content. We've literally been goofing off for like 10 straight minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I guess we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So, like, I have a handful of guys tagged. I have like Isaiah Joe tagged strictly because like you got to get someone cheap somewhere. And this, like, he's projecting for 50% ownership. I'll let TJ dive into that a little bit, but like play him in cash games. But come on now, 50% for like a 3-point dependent guy. This is an outrageous ownership. My favorite spin up is Fred VanVleet at point guard. I'm pretty sure I've seen a lot of people talking about him already today. A lot of it has to do with how the Clippers have been playing since they got Westbrook, like second or third in pace, I believe, and third to last in defense. So VanVleet's had the ball in his hands a bunch too, getting some more touch time and weighted towards his favor as opposed to like Siakam. So I love the 8-2 price tag. Let's see some other stuff here. Cheap stuff, maybe Derek White at 5'7". More expensive stuff, I would say. I mean, you got Luka at 11.8, you got Dame at 11.2. I would probably lean Luka there, but I mean, all these guys are like appropriately priced at best. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Giddey maybe is the last piece, but yeah, it's pretty much Joe and VanVleet as the two primary options there. Neither of those guys have shooting guard eligibility. So let's look at some other shooting guards here. Kind of looking at this like mid-tier range. So you have Dort at 6'2", mentioned Derek White at 5'7", Reddish at 5'6", THJ at 5'2", and Okaji at 4'7". That's kind of the range I'm looking at here. Like maybe it's a Kyrie spend up here. I definitely wouldn't play him at point guard, but maybe at shooting guard. One other cheap guy to mention is Josh Green at 4'3". Maybe he's in the equation, but not a lot to like. Small forward, pretty decent position, mainly because Ingram's here. I know the game log looks a little iffy, but the rates are there. I'm not really worried about this. And like Dallas has been really bad defensively since they got Kyrie, and they're without, I'd say arguably two of their best individual defenders. Probably their two best, Kleba and Bullock. So
yes,
that bodes well for Ingram too. They're on the second night of the back-to-back. The Mavs are. So yeah, I like Ingram. And then I like Tybal on the cheap at 4'8". You have Okaji there at 4'7". And then I think this is a Kuzma slot, either a small forward or power forward. He doesn't like grade out very well, but the fact that he wasn't even on the injury report after playing 35 minutes is a good sign, in my opinion. They played last night. I don't know, just a kind of his positional eligibility helps because forward is kind of weak. Like once you get past Ingram, it's kind of both of these spots are weak, so I think you put him in one of those. So, and we'll talk about it now, but like you can put Durant here too. Like talk about power forward, but minutes restriction gone. 40 minutes last game, so don't have to worry about any of that now. He's 10-1, which is a hefty ask considering who he's playing with now. You know, there's a few more mouths to feed, and there's obviously blowout risk here, but I think you could do worse than him. Like, I would probably rather play KD for the $1,000 saving than Tatum. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I think it's kind of close, but yeah, one of those guys maybe. Let's see here. Cheap stuff. Horford 5'7", Hunter at 5'3". Those would be the cash game options. And I think that is enough at power forward. And then real quick at center, you have Horford there. You have Joe Val at 6'4". Not a Jokic spend up slate for me, in my opinion. I would much rather pay up like for Ingram. I'd much rather pay up for like a Tatum or a Durant. I'd much rather pay up for VanVleet. That's kind of what I would be looking at. And I think that's really it for like the options I would consider. Those two guys, maybe Capella, maybe Jalen Williams for the Thunder at 4'8". That's all I got.
Okay. I can confirm I am in agreement. This slate does suck after that walkthrough. I was like, okay, this is
my enthusiasm just radiating over here. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, TJ, I guess maybe there's not a ton of chalk because there's not a ton of great plays. What's it looking like, and what's your thoughts on tournaments?
There is some chalk in terms of a few players where the ownership is very, very concentrated, but as a whole, there's not that many of those players. And so I guess, although I was very busy talking smack to Dean and Will, and now I'm very busy talking about McDonald's in the chat, I can take some time for the tournament takes. It's like Meansy said, and it's like you mentioned as well, it's a really gross slate, and the more you dive into it, the grosser it gets. So my perspective for tournaments for this slate is I've decided to take a bit of a backwards approach and kind of pretend I'm playing DFS in 2016 as opposed to 2023, because no one really grades out well. None of these plays are that strong of plays. Mm-hmm. And so as opposed to looking too deep at projections today, as opposed to looking too deep at optimizers, I'm kind of just going, all right, well, Atlanta and Washington, that's a 3-point spread with a 120 team total and a 117 team total. So I'm just going to try and get overweight on all of these Atlanta players. So Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, on DraftKings, they look like great plays. On FanDuel, they don't look like such great point per dollar plays, but I don't really care. It's a fantastic game environment. And the only one picking up any ownership in that game on FanDuel is DeAndre Hunter. So Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Clint Capella, load me up on all of these guys in tournaments. And then even on the Washington side, the only one really picking up much ownership is going to be Kyle Kuzma. So then I have interest in Bradley Beal. I have interest in Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, that's kind of it. I don't really want to go too deep on Washington today because they have players priced up for players to be missing, and now they're back. But the next game I'm looking at is Dallas and New Orleans. Obviously, we have big Brandon Ingram chalk on New Orleans side, as he should be. But Jonas Valanciunas, even guys like Josh Richardson, Herb Jones, I think these are players that you can take shots on today in tournaments. And then on the Dallas side, Dallas is my favorite team to target on the entire slate today. Luka's not as expensive as he has been in the past, and I know it's kind of tough to get value to get to him, but if he's your only spend up, you can absolutely make it work. I really like Kyrie Irving today in tournaments. Tim Hardaway Jr., I think, is a great value play. Christian Wood is one of my favorite tournament plays on the slate without Kleba, without Bullock. I think he should get a few extra minutes today, especially with a big, slow guy like Jonas Valanciunas in there. The games like Cleveland and Miami, where it's a super low total, I kind of feel like I can just leave it be today. I'm going to look at Denver and see, wow, this team has a huge total today at 117. So I'm going to try and get overweight on these Denver players in tournaments. Why not take shots on if you're running 150, Caldwell Pope, Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown? No, they're not very high point per minute players, but these are still guys who could get hot from three, end up putting up a good game. And on a night where we don't really have anybody we love, I'm more comfortable getting overweight to players that I don't really like all that much, but they're not getting any ownership anyways. So I'm going to take the shots on them.
Okay. Very good. I like it. Let's talk some DK here. I decided I have nothing to do tonight, so I'm going to make a build right now as you gentlemen tell me who I should play. Don't give me that look. It's not a reassuring look.
Yeah, I can help you out a little here. I like some guys.
All right.
Let's see. Point guard, one of the guys I like is Josh Giddey. 7'6", point guard. Yeah, go ahead.
He dropped a triple-double last game, right?
I mean, he's had like 50 to 59 DraftKings points in 4 straight games, and I think all but one of those, or maybe all of them, had SGA playing. I'm not even sure. Or no, SGA's out for a couple of them, but SGA played last night. He had he was. If he didn't get there, he was on his way there. But no SGA tonight. No good Jalen Williams tonight, who we've talked about plenty, has been doing a ton for that team. So like those are like just 2 massive alphas that aren't going to be out there to compete with Giddey for some rock time. So yeah, he's one of the first guys I put in. Obvious blowout risk, but like I think he could do okay in 3 quarters if it comes to that, just because he's going to be doing so much. And hopefully they're relatively competitive where he at least gets most, if not all, of his 4th quarter run. So I would be going there.
He did, by the way, have a triple-double with 17 dimes, which is
that's it?
That's pretty solid there in that department.
That'll do the trick. Yeah. So he's the main guy for me there. If you're feeling a little iffy about the blowout risk, just play McCollum or don't play anybody in that range. Trae Young is 8'8", which is the cheapest he's been on DraftKings all season by $300, which is just very strange. It's like one of those things where at the end of the night we'll be like, does the algorithm know something we don't know? Yes, it does. Yeah, but it's weird because it's also been a new coach situation for 3 or 4 games now, and his touch time is down a little bit compared to what it's been the rest of the season. So maybe there's something there, but like TJ was saying, they have a 120-point team total, close spread. Like it'd be pretty surprising if he completely torpedoes your lineup tonight at 8-8. But we've seen crazier things happen. So that's what I would be looking at as far as the expensive stuff. Obviously, you have the Dames and Lucas there, but man, is it uncomfortable to get to those guys tonight. So probably not for me. Cheap stuff, and I say cheap stuff with like my eyebrows up and a wincing look on my face that I would be considering would be like Alex Caruso at 3.4. Maybe Kobe White at 3.6, maybe like Trey Mann at 3K, but I think we can get our cheap stuff at other positions, so I'm not thrilled about going too cheap here. So let's go to shooting guard. All right. Giddey's here, and then you have some you have Wiggins is at small forward. We'll get to him, but you have Isaiah Joe here as well. Not as chalky on DK, strictly because of, a few things. Mostly is that he just sticks out so much on FanDuel that it's like inflating his ownership, but he's an option here on DK too, and it gets the 3-point bonus. So I'd actually feel better about playing him on DK, as weird as that sounds. Because I think he's a tad cheaper, about the same price, but I just feel better about him on DK in general. So that's probably like how you start a build, is going Giddey Joe, which is already 2 Thunder, and we're going to talk about another one on at small forward, which just makes me queasy as all hell thinking about playing all these Thunder and basically a 14-point spread, but that's what we're dealing with. KCP is a cheap option. Tim Hardaway at 4.6 with those 2 Mavs out we talked about. He's an option. Cam Reddish at 4.7. He's a cheap option. I'm looking at all these other expensive guys. I think that's about where I'd end it. As far as I don't think I'd go higher than Giddey, honestly, at shooting guard. Small forward, I mentioned Wiggins, Aaron Wiggins. Want to make sure he's starting. Then you have Tybalt, who's been him and Reddish, man. I know like Nurk's been out for a lot of it, and that matters a little bit, but they've been just so much better with their Blazers than they were at their previous teams. Like if you look at like their average fantasy points per game with one team compared to the next, like 2 different players. So I would go. I think Thybulle and Wiggins are actually, when I'm talking about all this cheap stuff that was making me wince, I would say those 2 guys, like put one of those guys at small forward, put the other one at forward, and I would much rather play those guys than I would play one of those, like the guards I was talking about, like Caruso. So That's what I'd be looking at. Some other cheap stuff. You have THJ there. You have DeAndre Hunter there. You have Reddish there. Like names, a handful of names we've already mentioned. I do like Kuzma here. I do like KD here. I do like Ingram here. Probably Ingram is the choice for me at 8-4. But man, like if you can find the 1,400 to get to KD, that doesn't feel like – I know the value is kind of weak here, but does not feel like that much to get to KD over Ingram. So if you can do it, do it. Maybe we'll get some 2v2 questions on that a little later, but that's what I'd be looking at. Power forward. Some names I just mentioned expensive, and I didn't even mention. Did I just completely skip over Tatum when I was talking at small forward? I did.
Yeah, I do not believe you did. Said him, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why I didn't see his name. I'm trying to rephrase how I was just talking about the expensive guys because like I would rather play Tatum than all of those than the other guys I was talking about. I would rather play Tatum than Durant. So like just if you can find that money, that's obviously more money than I was talking about from Ingram. But yeah, so let me start back from the start on the small forward just for like expensive guys. I would rank them Tatum, Ingram, KD, and then obviously you might not be able to get up that high. And then I would just put Kuzma there. So sorry, that was a brain fart. Because he's going to be the first guy I mentioned at power forward. And I was like, wait a minute, he's got small forward. All right. So that handles a lot of the power forward discussion as far as expensive guys. The only guy who's not there is Ingram. So then if you're not spending up there, and like what I was talking about with those small forwards being some of the better cheapies, you probably are spending up at power forward. So put Tatum in your power forward spot. Other guys here would be, we mentioned Hunter. He's, an option for the forward slot. Maybe Saric. Like Saric is just a tricky one, man, because you could maybe literally just be getting like 2 rotations out of him. Like he'll come in for end of quarter 1 and it gets taken out whenever in the second quarter. Same thing in the second half, and that's it. So like I hate playing guys like that, but I get it. But I would try not to. Yeah, that's really it. 'Cause I think you're just paying up at power forward. So center, let's see, cheap Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams for the Thunder. He's probably the cheap option here. Christian Wood. Then you have Pirtle at 6'6", Vooch at 7'9". Probably not a Jokic slate for me either on DK. So I think the only other name I mentioned here would be Clint Capella. But if I'm picking one, man, there's just so many Thunder sticking out. It's just like such a good tournament slate. Like I'm gonna just real quick before I pass it over, I just want to see what ownership is like because. All right, Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, 2 chalkiest players on DK. Giddey, 4 or 5, 6. Giddey's the 6th highest owned. Jalen Williams and Sarge are down there a little further. Like, I know Dean said it. I know I've said it before on this show. They will literally start a different starting lineup in the second half. This is like the epitome of tanking. So just be careful. I mean, if you're playing cash games, sure, but man, be careful with that Thunder exposure in tournaments.
Okay, very good. TJ, let's talk some tournaments over on DK. What are your thoughts?
So one team that one game that's applicable to both sites that I kind of forgot to mention in the FanDuel round is that I do really like is the Clippers and the Raptors. Fred VanVleet is one of my favorite plays on the slate. Pascal Siakam on the Raptors side, I do really like as well. So wanted to make sure I get that in because I do really love that game as well. Mm-hmm. Then on DraftKings, I'm looking to get more mid-range on FanDuel. I'm willing to embrace the weird in 5 to 7K players, even if they aren't projected that well, and get them into my lineups. On DraftKings, I'm doing that a lot more with cheap guys. I think my job, I think today is a lot easier than Meansy's is because I'm smart enough to know that I have no idea what's going on with OKC. And so I don't have to choose one because I'm playing 150 lineups, not one lineup. And so I'm making sure that every one of my lineups today does have an OKC player because I know someone's going to have a good game. I just don't know who it is. And so I am getting about 45% Isaiah Joe. I am getting about 40% Aaron Wiggins, which I don't really like if it wasn't for the fact that I was also getting, 20% Dario Saric on DraftKings where he's not very highly owned, 20% Ousmane Dieng. I'm playing 20% Jalen Williams. I'm playing 10% Trey Mann, 10% Lindy Waters. I don't know which one of these guys it's going to have well, but I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of each one. And then I'm targeting a ton of Dallas players as well. Tim Hardaway Jr., Christian Wood, Luka Doncic. Those are the 2 rules I have in DraftKings is I want to play 1 OKC player and 1 Dallas player on every one of my lineups. Now, I'm not going full stack, not going all out 5 players from these teams. I have it capped at 3 players from each of these teams. So 1 to 3 max, but I do want to get at least one of them on each of them. So from a position by position basis, in terms of guards, my favorite tournament one on DraftKings, because I do think you can find the value, is Luka. He's who I'm getting to the most today. I have almost 30% Luka Doncic today, trying to at least double the field. And then the other players I have in his same range are Josh Giddey, Trae Young, and Fred VanVleet. Those are the 4 that I'm getting to in abundance today, outside of the Isaiah Joe types in terms of the spend ups. DeJounte Murray is another guy who I think is too cheap, and I'm trying to double the field. Kyrie Irving, same case. And then I'm just trying to get about 10% range of a bunch of random players that I hope will do something. Alex Caruso is going to be chalky, so I'm going to only get 10% of him, but I'm also going to get 10% Kobe White and 10% Patrick Beverly in case it's them who do it instead. Joe is going to be very chalky, so I'm also going to make sure I get 10% Trey Mann. I really like the spot the Clippers are in today, so I'm getting 10% of Westbrook and even 10% Terrence Mann because he's super duper cheap today. Pivoting over to the shooting guard position, I'm getting tons of Isaiah Joe, tons of Tim Hardaway Jr., and then taking some shots on some cheap Portland guys, some cheap Denver guys, Cam Reddish, Bruce Brown, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, taking shots on all of those guys today, and then pivoting over to the forward position. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of Aaron Wiggins, which I'm not comfortable about. But then after him, my next highest owned at the small forward position is going to be Brandon Ingram. And from there, this is the position that I like the least. So it's just chaos. It's so many players in the 10 to 15% range. I got Reddish and Jayson Tatum at almost 20, but then after that, it's Tybalt, DeAndre Hunter, Kawhi Leonard, Lindy Waters, Jaylen Brown, Scotty Barnes, Kevin Durant, Kyle Kuzma, Justin Holiday, Josh Okogie, just a variety of players because it's a tough position on this one, and that's why you're getting a chalky Aaron Wiggins. In terms of bigs, I'm taking a lot of shots on some cheap OKC guys like Jalen Williams, Ousmane Dieng, Dario Saric. My spend ups here are Jason Tatum and Pascal Siakam, getting a little bit of Kawhi Leonard, whose price I like on DraftKings. Because Cleveland plays really big, it's his old team, sat last game. I'm taking 10% shots on Kevin Love today. Not really because of the revenge thing, and more so because if they're playing Evan Mobley and Jared Allen in a close game, he's probably going to have to play some pretty big minutes. So mixing him in at the power forward position as well. It does worry me the lack of a guy like Nikola Jokic I'm getting to today at only about 10%. But at center, it's a place that I'm spending down today. Christian Wood, Dario Saric, Jalen Williams, Al Horford. And then if I'm not going all the way down, I'm usually sticking in the mid range. DeAndre Ayton, Jakob Poeltl, Pascal Siakam, Clint Capella. Very rarely do I find myself able to get up to Jokic. So that's probably my biggest worry of the night.
Okay, very good. Some of these OKC guys like Joe, like Wiggins, are they blowout proof because they're not really, key components to the team? Or is it just we have literally no idea what this team is going to do anyways?
We have literally no idea what this team is going to do anyways.
Cool. Yeah, no one's blowout proof on even their developing players that they want to take looks at could just play the guy behind them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fun. We've got 8-9 minutes here for some QQs, so let's dive into it. Jumping into the RG Discord. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's free content with 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. All we ask is a little thumbs up. Just push it, and then we get more eyeballs. Then our sponsor FanDuel is happy, and then hopefully we can keep this show free for a very, very long time for you guys. So hit that thumbs up. FanDuel single entry. TJ, how many studs are you paying up for in FanDuel single entry?
Probably just one.
Yeah.
So one of the over 10K guys, but if you're looking at making your studs are going to be Brandon Ingram and Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Paul George, that range of players, Josh Giddey. If you're quantifying that as stud, then you can have 3. But if you're talking about the 10 to 12K guys, I'm probably just going 1.
Okay. FanDuel GPP right back at you, TJ. The scrub that we can plug in other than Dario Saric, parentheses gross, in the same range that you feel okay about. Like as a last
Dario
piece.
Saric on FanDuel is 4K. Do you want to hit Meansy with a question? Then I'll give you somebody I like there.
Yep. Means FanDuel Cash. This is a 3v3 for you. Durant, Okaji, Horford, or Siakam, Valanciunas, and Aaron Wiggins.
First one.
Okay. All right.
I think you can do the straight line pivot to Usman Dieng.
Okay. That I have no idea who that is, so I assume that's coming in pretty low owned.
Yeah, he's on OKC. He's $100 cheaper. He's gonna come off the bench. He's not gonna. He's only played like in the last 3 games. Before that, he wasn't playing at all. But he's played 19, and 20 minutes. He's had over 20 fantasy points in 2 of the 3 of them. I think if this one does blow out, he'll probably be on the court. So that's probably the one I'd go with.
Okay, very nice. Means who would benefit if the Pelicans go small during the game? Would Hayes fit that criteria, or do you think they'd go another route?
They could play Ingram at the 5, honestly. And I'm pretty sure they've done that. So like if they go small, then let's put it this way. If they go small, that means they want to take Joe Bell off the court. Mm-hmm. They're not going to bring Willie in. So if they're going to take Joe Bell off, so Hayes will be one of them, but I could see them much rather going like Ingram, Herb as their like front court guys, and then bringing in like Najee or Trey as to fill in the wing to go with McCollum and Richardson. So I would look at that.
Okay, very good. DK Cash means Hunter or THJ?
Man, Hunter's probably safer. Like Hunter is not going to implode your lineup, but safe in cash games doesn't really like do much anymore because everyone's playing like the same players. If it was mine, I'd probably play THJ.
Okay. DK Cash, right back to you, means McCollum, Wood, or Trey and Tybal?
Oh, I would definitely do the second one, Trey and Tybal.
Very good. More cash questions from T. Jackson here. FanDuel Cash means E3v3, Tybal, Okaji, Horford, or Reddish, White, Saric?
First one.
Okay. FanDuel single entry, TJ back in the mix, Kuz and Horford, or Ingram and Jay Williams?
Ingram and Williams.
Does Horford get like a bump down now with Tatum back? Because Tatum was out for a while, right?
Robert Williams is gone, so that's why Horford has a nice little bump.
Okay, all right. And am I making up the Tatum thing? It means he looked like
he sat last game. Remember that they had that double OT game, which was Sunday. So then Horford sat, Tatum sat. Then Robert Williams has been out for a couple of games and he's still out. So yeah, that's probably what you're thinking of. Yeah, because gotcha. Monday, that was the Monday show. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Where are we here? Given the OKC conversation, which is essentially just complete unpredictability, does it make sense to just avoid them in cash? Does it make sense to avoid these OKC guys in cash?
I don't think so because there's like, to a certain extent you can because there's options. Like at small forward, you can like play the Blazers guys, like play Reddish and Tybal instead of Wiggins. But like, I don't know, maybe at shooting guard, you can play like KCP instead of Joe. The issue is like the other situations have more secure minutes, but the other situations have all of their good players playing. So like, like Dame's not sitting out to make Reddish a good play. Like SGA is sitting out. So like that's why it's kind of, you got to think of it both ways. Like, there's unpredictability, but like there's also really good players not playing. So it's hard balance.
Okay. All right. Good explanation. DKGPP TJ, is it okay to do Joe Val and Ingram in a single entry in the same lineup? And if so, is it okay to not have a Dallas run back?
I do think it's okay to have them in the same lineup. I would like a Dallas run back, but I don't think it's 100% necessary. I would try and maybe squeak in a mid-range guy like a Tim Hardaway Jr. if you can't pay up to a Luke or a Kyrie. But no, I don't think it's absolutely necessary.
Okay. DKGPP, Reddish or Hunter, TJ?
Reddish.
Very good. Jeps, DKGPP, can you play Giddy, Wiggins, J. Will together?
Yes.
This Mavs game is on ESPN. Now I gotta jam in Luca.
Like jam in Luca.
Yes. Gonna
Play
change my whole
Luca,
field.
TJ, and Christian Wood, run it back with Brandon Ingram, and you got yourself a good time.
Okay. That is my build currently. So I'm about that life. Adam says, DK Cash, can I play DeJounte and Trae Young together in DK Cash?
You can. I didn't get in anything that I was playing both of them. Like I'd rather be spinning up at one of those forward spots. You can though. Yeah, they're both like literally. I said it about Trae. Like DeJounte is the cheapest he's been all season 2. It's really weird.
I think it's likely if you're doing that, it's probably going to be without Giddy. And I feel like at that same price tag on DraftKings, you should just do Giddy, especially in cash instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Last piece, FanDuel GPP, TJ, Caleb Martin or Depot, our boy Oladipo.
Oh, don't love either, but I guess I would go Oladipo.
I don't even know what team he's on anymore. Where is he?
Also Miami.
Okay. All right. Thank you. TJ, you over the field on OG?
Let's see. What does the field got for OG?
Like 2% or something?
Then yes, I am. I got about 5.
There you go. All right. FanDuel GPP, Marcus Morris.
No.
Okay. J Sams let's see, FanDuel, we'll call it a GPP question. Is OG okay as a last piece? And do you feel Al Horford could be limited with his minutes with Nurk limited?
No, I don't feel that way about Horford, and OG is what on OG's 6'4" on FanDuel, so no, I don't think I'd want to play him there.
Okay. DK Cash means Hunter or Hardaway? I feel like we did this already.
Yeah, we did that one. Hunter's, if you're looking for safety, it's Hunter. I would play THJ if it's mine, personally.
Okay. Jeff says, is Jamal Murray a good GPP play on DK? Nobody brought him up.
Jamal Murray is almost always a good DK GPP play.
Man, that's how I feel about that guy. I like it. DK Cash means Caruso or Saric. Yeah.
Saric revenge.
I would probably Saric, but I mean that's basically a perfect way to say we just lost the show because that's the state of the cheap stuff tonight.
Yeah. All right. That's a good way to end it. Hammer says, QQ, Kevin, Al Roker or Ginger Z? Al Roker, to my knowledge, is not a meteorologist. He's just a dude who does the weather. He does not have a degree. So for that, I will go with the degreed meteorologist. That is Ginger Z.
I remember you telling me that, you told me that like a couple years ago, and my head exploded.
Yeah, that's fine.
Coming after Big Al Roker over here.
I don't want any trouble with Big Al. Like, he is the dude. He's awesome, but he's not a meteorologist.
All right, before you do your outro, I just want everyone that when these credits roll, I want you to envision the name TJ Zorich on them, even though that's not going to be. Yeah. I think you all have enough imagination. Maybe not you, Roth. You don't use salad dressing, but everyone else can envision putting TJ's name on these credits.
Okay. And the music hit so hard, everyone literally does stay around and watch the credits. I know I do.
It is pretty baller. Like sometimes I catch myself just sitting here bobbing until the music's over, and then I'm just sitting here like an idiot. Hey, TJ, quick thought. I don't know if I told you this or not, but I am so into the Star Wars show. Not the one that you're watching. Andor is so good.
It is their best television.
Guys, Rob hasn't sent us out yet, guys.
Yes.
Did you mean to be talking?
I know this is TJ's bag, and like so many of these shows just are. I feel like they're for 7-year-olds. I just don't think they're very good. They're just like kind of living off the Star Wars brand. But Andor is actually a good show. Like it's legitimately enjoyable. So watch it. Agreed.
Andor's top tier television, spy thriller. It's fantastic.
It's really good. Like, it's definitely worth a watch, even if you're not a huge Star Wars guy. Okay, with that, now we can bounce. Now that we've made Meansy happy by talking about nerd things. For Means, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.